Hi, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of Found at 40. I'm Chrissi, and in today's episode, I'm joined by my sister, Sarah, and we're talking career pivots, identity shifts, unrealistic expectations about 40, and the process of figuring it all out. We had the most hilarious, honest conversation about all of it, and I can't wait for you to listen. Also, apologies for my less than stellar audio quality for this episode. I made the rookie mistake of not double checking my mic settings before hitting record on this episode, which resulted in audio that is not top tier, and future episodes will not have this issue. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Found at 40, the first episode, the inaugural episode.
Yes.
The debut. Yes, we're here. I'm so excited to hear.
I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so for everyone listening, I am Chrissi Harris, and I am here joined by my sister, Sarah Clark. She's joining me today. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself for anybody who's listening who doesn't actually know me in real life. There may be somebody, who knows. So I'm 40 years old, which is fitting for the podcast name. I've been married for 20 years, so I've been married for half of my life. I have 3 kids. I've got boy, girl. They're 15, 12, and 8. We live in Tennessee. I went to college at BYU, which really does explain why I've been married for 20 years if I'm only 40. Like, that's just, we'll get into that.
Child bride.
I know, I was like halfway a child bride, but was fully on board with it. And I still am. Like, it was great. So I studied at BYU. I studied marriage, family, and human development. I had all the plans to be a therapist. But if you're in college, once you get married, college is not fun anymore. Like, the second you're married, it is, we just got to finish this because you are so poor. At least I was. We were so poor. I was making like $8 an hour doing a campus job. And so by the time I was finally graduating, I was like, I'm not doing grad school. I've got to get out of this campus job. And I got a job doing social work. And I think I was making like $33K a year, which truly felt like
a lot.
Luxury.
Yeah.
Like such a huge financial upgrade that I was like, I cannot do grad school right now. I cannot handle being dirt poor anymore.
That was
I'm going
like
to be
more than, let's see, that was like more than $2,000 each paycheck, which was like,
Yeah,
what do we do with all this money?
truly from going from being like, we have $6 in our bank account and it's going to last us the next week, to be like, woo! Anyway, so that's what I did. I did that for 8 years. And by the time I finished up with that, we had moved to Indiana and then we moved to Tennessee. And we've been in Tennessee for like 5.5 years, and it is wonderful. So I've done other types of work since then, but really just on a part-time basis, or I stayed home for a long time. But Sarah, tell me about you. Tell the listeners, tell our
the listeners,
booming audience.
our mom. Let's tell our mom about us. Well,
Yes.
let's see. I am 43. I'll be 44 in August. So I got divorced at 40. That was great. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. I'm sarcastic.
That is going to be a very interesting chat because there's lots to say.
It wasn't the typical trajectory of a divorce.
No, it was a very atypical situation.
I have 3 children. One is 22. He's out of the house. I have one that's 18. He just graduated high school. And then one that's 14. She's about to start high school. I've decided to go back to school. I've been taking classes towards a medical imaging degree. I've been working as a cosmetic tattoo artist for the last 11 years.
You gave me these eyebrows.
I did. They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Also, I'm moving to Tennessee. Selling my house
Soon.
What else? What else is there? I don't know. Oh, I play roller derby. I've been playing for 13 years.
And your roller derby name is?
Katniss Evermean.
Yes, and because when you started derby, Hunger Games was huge.
Does it kind of date me? Maybe, but it's still a cool name, and I've been Katniss for a while.
And you got me a shirt that said Primrose Evermean, I remember.
That's right. Where is that shirt, Chrissi? Where is it?
Well,
where is it now?
Number one, it's too small. It's too small somewhere. It's somewhere very deep.
Why don't you treasure it? Why don't you sleep with it every night?
If I could fit in it, dang it. If I could fit in it.
Well, question for you. Why did you decide to start this podcast? Was it just because we like talking?
Well, that is a major reason. I do love talking to you. I love talking to other people, but like there's actually like a super real reason why I started.
And
So
hold on, I have to say, why now? Why this?
why this sperm? We share a brain, and anyone with a sister like that they're close with,
I
they
would say,
can
yeah.
get this sister brain, I would say.
Yeah.
So yes, why now? Why this sperm? I would say it's for like I've been going through a little bit of like I wouldn't call it a crisis by any means, but I've been really having the feeling of like what is next. And I feel like a lot of women who kind of have been like the glue of the family, whether or not they've built their own career that they've, been established for the past 20 years, or whether they've stayed home, like around this time where your kids don't need you as much physically, you're not like
Right.
ruled by nap time and changing diapers, and you can see your kids are gaining this independence. You're kind of starting to wonder, who am I if I'm not these people's mom caregiver? And so like truly like that is the number one reason of what made me want to start a podcast, because like I want to have these conversations because I know I'm not the only one that is really grappling with this. So that's reason number one. Another thing, a couple months ago, maybe like 6 months ago actually, Ben and I, so yeah, husband is named Ben, if I didn't already mention it. So we're laying in bed and he's like half asleep, and all of a sudden I'm having like this existential crisis of the kids are growing up and they're not going to need me anymore.
Oh, no.
And I'm just going to be like obsolete as a human. I had this mini meltdown and he's like half asleep and he's like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And I'm like, but is it going to be fine? I know I'm not the only one to kind of have that panic of like, my life is going to be significantly different in 10 years than it is now. And I don't want my life to only be like, I'm not solely my kid's mom, because
Right.
it's like, guess what? They're going to be moving on with their lives and moving on with their adventures. I need to realize who I am. And then for like the past 3 or 4 years, and my friends and family, like people who know me in real life, they have heard me kind of lament and go on and on, like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I know what I don't want to do. I know there are things that just don't feel like, the idea of like, I'm going to go work in an office full time. And I know this is coming from a place of like extreme privilege, extreme luxury, that I'm able to say like, no, working full time and like leaning into that type of a very structured career doesn't feel like the best thing for my family right now. I know there are so many women that do choose to work, whether it's they love working. They know staying home is not the best thing for them. It's not what like fills their soul. It's not the best balance for them. But for me, Ben and I, we decided, and more so I decided, and he was just like, okay, we'll do this. He's going to work full time. He's going to lean into his career, and I'm going to choose to be a little bit more between somewhere working part-time, staying home,
manager.
just like the house manager. Yes, I choose to be the house manager. And it's been great because it's been good for my kids. They've really enjoyed that's just what they're used to. They're used to me being more available for them. So the thought of what am I supposed to do next, right? Like what's going on? So that's all been going through my head. And again, when I think about what I want to do for work, I am 40 years old. I'm college educated. I do have professional experience. However, I do not want to do a job that some 18-year-old who just graduated high school would also be qualified to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that like me
Well,
personally,
also-
and maybe I'm snobby, but I'm just like,
Well, you feel like your time, it's more valuable, not because monetarily it's more valuable, but it's like you do a lot of things for a lot of people. And so if you're going to be not spending your time doing those things, it better be worth it.
absolutely. And so that's truly how I feel. And again, like not wanting to come off as, snobby. And I know this is super privileged talk, but
Are such a snob.
I'm such a snob. But no. And the thing that was like the clincher for me of like why I needed to start a podcast. So there's a new podcast that I just started listening to. It's called Down the Well. So shout out Down the Well.
yeah.
I'll leave a link
Okay.
for it. She was talking about a quote from Carl Jung. Do you know who Carl Jung is?
Yes, I do.
So he's like, what is he? He's like a psychotherapist.
One of the fathers of psychology.
Yes. And so he has this quote that he said, life really does begin at 40. Everything up till then is just research. And that was truly like lightning bolt moment. It was wild because then my brain was just expanded. And I think I stayed up till like 2 a.m. Yeah, because Ben was out of town. That's why I was up so late. But like thinking like, oh my gosh, life does begin at 40.
Yeah.
This is not the end. This is like just
Well,
the
this
next
isn't
phase.
typical behavior for you because you don't have ADHD like I do. And so you generally follow patterns and you keep routines. And like for you to stay up and like have this crazy explosion of ideas and be all into that, that's not your typical style.
No, it's not. And so it was like, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do. This is the next thing. I'm really, really excited to talk about it because I feel like it's so relatable. Whatever your like career track has been, this is a time I would say specifically moms with kids who are getting older, this is something we can relate to of like, what's next? What am I supposed to do? So I wouldn't say that like this whole thing has been a midlife crisis in a bad way, but it's been a midlife pivot, midlife exploration.
Midlife transition.
Midlife transition, yes.
Maybe.
I mean, we've seen some midlife crises. We've seen some midlife crises.
Crises.
Yes. The midlife crisis, it's not necessarily like, oh, it's going to be the things that, you know, are seen as like self-destructive, like quitting your job dramatically, you know, telling your boss, you know, where to go and like walking out.
Jerry Maguire moment.
Like a Jerry Maguire moment, or deciding you're going to get like a side piece or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, going and like buying a sports car. Like those are the like the stereotypical things that you see TV show and movies.
Yeah.
And also a little bit in real life. I would say there's an element of that in real life, but
And
it also
get
can look very different.
really in shape, and then things are different. One of my friends said like they're getting the house ready to show.
Do you feel like that's something that men pull more than women?
I feel like yes, but I don't know all women.
You don't know all women.
I don't know all.
You're all the
women.
girls.
I am all the girls.
Sorry,
We'll
that's
have
an
to
inside
explain
joke
that
from
sometime.
yeah,
my
we'll
daughter.
have to go into
Yeah.
Yes, that's from Evie. Every TV show that she was like watching,
She'd
and
be
she'd be
like,
like, I'm that
that-
one.
I'm that girl.
I'm that
I'm
one.
that girl."
I'm-
I am all the girls. You witnessed it, I think.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I am
Yeah.
all the girls. Oh my gosh.
I am all the girls. You know, you'd always be like, if you were watching something, I'm that one. I'm this one.
I was thinking of different shows or movies where they show like a midlife crisis. Do you have any that you have on the docket?
Absolutely do. One
Okay,
of my
let's hear about
very
it.
favorite movies is Crazy Stupid Love. And it has Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, Ryan Gosling, and Emma Stone.
And my personal favorite, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin.
I love Kevin Bacon.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I totally forgot. And yes, you do have a weird thing for Kevin Bacon.
I do love Kevin Bacon.
Yes, but not in like an oh he's so attractive way. I don't think it's.
I
like,
know.
more
I mean,
just like a
he's
fascination.
I would say he's handsome. I think he's cute.
He's not my type.
Do you remember the
I
time where I
have a
thought I
type.
saw him?
I do.
Oh my gosh, you have a type. You
I
have a
saw
type.
it.
We'll get into that. All the men in your life have a very, very strong resemblance. Someday we should do a
side by
slideshow.
side.
No,
No,
we
that
could,
would not
we
be
could.
fair. We could.
No.
But I mean, there are certain.
You would get into trouble in some way if
probably
we had a
would.
slideshow. Oh my gosh, maybe we can do like an Instagram close friends or something where it's like you have to be selected as close friends, and we'll show them the
Maybe.
slideshow.
Or the Patreon.
Yes, that is future subscriber content of like,
Yes.
let's see how all Sarah's men have looked identical.
Not identical, but they have things in common about their appearance.
Okay, so back to Crazy Stupid Love.
Julianne Moore's character, she is married to Steve Carell. She tells him that she wants a divorce and that she's been sleeping with David Lindhagen.
David Lindhagen.
Yeah.
I've been
And
cuckolded.
then, and then Steve
I'm a
Carell, Steve Carell's character is like, he's lost. He does not know how to not be a 40-year-old dad wearing jeans from Costco. You know?
Be better than the Gap.
Yeah, it's true. That's a line. But those were Costco jeans, 100%. It's about sort of both of their journeys. It's a movie where things just layer, but it's like midlife crisis, midlife crisis, midlife crisis. You meet other people who are having theirs.
I love that movie.
I do too.
The only thing I don't love, do you know the part I hate?
The babysitter.
The
babysitter part.
babysitter who takes naked pictures of herself is intending to give them to Steve Carell's character, who's like in his mid
I feel like,
40s.
okay, I would say that's a spoiler, but this movie has been out for
This movie's
at
been out
least
for 15 years.
So
If you haven't seen it, and if I just spoiled it, that's on you, listener. Like,
Yeah.
get with the times. But she prints them out, like, on her little home printer with the intent to
in
give
an
them to Steve
envelope.
Carell's character in an envelope that says,
love.
like, Cal. That's it, with, like, a heart.
Yeah.
Her dad ends up seeing it, you know, flips out, thinks that babysitter, who I think she's, like, a senior in high school or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, is having a thing. So he's, like, ready to murder, you know, Steve Carell. in the end, she gives the photos to Steve Carell's teenage son, who appears to be maybe 13, 14, and has like a raging crush on her.
He's in love with her.
So that is a perfect example of midlife crisis. And I feel like the end of Crazy Stupid Love, it kind of gets tied up with a neat little bow a little bit.
It does. It all kind of explodes and then it all comes together.
Which oftentimes does not happen in real life when somebody has a midlife crisis and acts out in whatever way or does something that I feel like is, I mean, I feel like with midlife,
there are not necessarily happy endings to everybody.
No. With a midlife crisis or pivot exploration, there are ways where it's super self-destructive or like destructive to your relationships. And then there are other times where it's like, oh, mom's just going through something. So with friends and people in your life, have you seen much of that?
I have. I have friends who've, after, 15, 20 years or whatever, decided we're going to open our marriage. And they try that. I'm never going to name names. And honestly, I'm not judging them. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like I'm judging them. The ones that I am aware of have since closed those open marriages. They can't go back to not having done that. But some people have changed careers completely, like in their 40s. They've decided, I want to be in law enforcement.
I feel like there are ways where the midlife, like all the changes, can cause problems, or it's just like, oh, we're exploring something new. And when it comes to opening marriages, I'm like, I feel like I have not known where that has been long-term sustainable in like keeping everybody happy.
It probably exists for people who aren't expecting a typical relationship in any of their romantic relationships. But like I said, I'm not judging. I don't know that anyone who I know of who've tried it has said like, this has been a great idea for us.
Like maybe in theory, they're like, oh, let's try something different. And then when they, after like, in theory, it seems kind of like sexy and fun. And then in like
and
reality,
realize,
it's like, oh, this actually makes
there's
things
more problems.
a lot. So let's shift gears a little bit off of swinging and and whatever, non-monogamy. But like think back to when we were younger. What did you think when you were like first starting your 20s, first starting your adulthood? Like what did you think midlife was going to look like?
I expected a lot more financial stability. I thought I would like have money to be able to pay normal bills and stuff like that. I expected to still look 25.
You definitely look younger than your years.
Thank
So
you,
but take the win.
I don't look 25. I think we all like expect that we're always going to look the way that we do in our 20s. Mm-hmm. Like when aging hits, it's just like, wait a second, what's happening? I don't like this.
No, seriously, Sarah, like my eyes have changed in like the past year of like, I can't do a cat eye anymore because the skin.
I've always had more hooded eyes than you, so I've never been able to do a true great cat eye. Welcome to my world. But honestly, I had a hard time picturing what my life would look like at 40 because I was just trying to get through each day. I was in a marriage where I was trying to convince myself that I was really happy. I just hoped that in the future I would be happy.
I think you're like in survival mode in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways. So it's hard to think. It's hard to think about 10 years, 20 years down the road when you don't feel like you have that secure emotional foundation.
Well, I feel like also when we look at like our family of origin, like, with mom and dad. So anyone listening, it was just our parents and then me and Sarah. We didn't have any other siblings. But like seeing how mom and dad had kind of structured our family, and I felt so much stability from them. Like I feel like overall, they did not give us tons of ammunition for therapy.
They shielded us from any, I think, instability, like with dad's job. Whenever like because there were a couple times where he either got laid off or the company was purchased and his job was no longer available. We did not feel the uncertainty of that.
No, I just felt like 40, like these years mean that, okay, your life is stable. You have enough. You have everything that you need, quite a few things that you want. You can plan for the future. Like that's what I thought it would be. And at this point, it's not crazy different, but at the same time, I felt like I would be a little bit more progressed down the financial path for sure.
I think we see the grown-ups and we think, oh, they know what they're doing because they're the grown-ups. And now we're the grown-ups and we realize, oh, they were just making it up as they were going along.
They always seemed very confident. Like our parents, I don't think there was ever a part where we were like parentified in the way, they didn't loop us in unnecessarily to any of the things. Just like you said, we were kind of shielded. But I think it's comforting to know that like everybody that I talk to, we all seem to be in the same boat of like, no, we don't have it figured out. Kind of fake it till you make it. Gotta fake it till you make it, and it did. You know that song?
Yes, I'm a woman in my 40s. Of course I know Taylor Swift.
Oh, speaking of Taylor Swift.
Your 40th birthday party? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. Well, let's go back real quick and like Mom, her 40th birthday party. I don't know if she had a party per se, but like I remember seeing pictures of her. I think it was like the neighborhood ladies, and she had like a surprise 40th, and they gave her all sorts of like gag gifts. Like a cane and like an over the hill and like glasses and everything. And I feel like that's not the mindset at all for turning 40 now. I mean, you had like a really fun party with like a DJ and dancing, and you had all sorts of like fancy drinks. I mean, all we know is what we were raised with, but like I feel like, when Mom turned 40, it was more of like, oh, you're over the hill, like joking that you're over the hill. But for us, it was like, no, it was just, woo! Like, yes, we dressed, I mean, for my birthday party, we all dressed up like whatever Taylor Swift.
Whatever iteration of
or
Taylor Swift we wanted to do.
There's not a feeling of over the hill or now you're old now.
Put some pictures from both parties in the show notes.
Yes, we will. We will do that. So anyway, I feel like 40 is not what it used to be. I feel like 40 is just like, okay, the best is yet to come in a lot of ways. That's how I'm really wanting to frame it.
If we're talking about kind of how we pictured, in my 20s, I started realizing that there were dreams that I had that if I don't consciously choose to make them happen, they're not going to happen.
I feel like that's kind of a hard truth that you have to
that's what I think
come to grips with.
That's what happens with the midlife crisis is people realize, oh no, my life is halfway over. There's all these things that I've never done.
And also, like, nobody's going to do this for me. If I want to do it, like, we got to do this. There was a quote that I read that I really, really liked. So it's, you spend your 20s figuring it out. You spend your 30s building things you may or may not even want. And then in your 40s, you start editing, which I feel like for me, when I read that, I was like, oh, yeah, that is so true. Because when you're 20s, like, you're trying to figure it out. Back to Taylor Swift, because I love her. Do you remember the song, what is it? The song Nothing New? With she sings it with like Phoebe. Yeah. Phoebe, is it Bridges or Bridgers?
Bridgers.
Phoebe Bridgers. Okay, and Phoebe Bridgers. Such a wonderful song. Love that song. One of my favorite lyrics is, how can a person know everything at 18 but nothing at 22?
I know.
And that's so true. I feel like Taylor is like poet of the generation. And
you knew everything at 18.
Yes. But then you just me or you too?
Well, you for sure. I mean, because you knew what you were going to school for. You knew what you were going to get your degree in. You know what I mean? You had a vision.
Yeah, I did have a vision, and I was like, all right, let's go.
After school, and you were just like, wait, is this really what I want? But you didn't really have time because it was just like, okay, time to get a job.
Time to get a job. Time to make $33K a year. Woo! Oh my gosh. I have to tell you. So do you remember when I first started working? So I was working for the state of Utah. I was doing social work. It was child welfare. So I wasn't doing necessarily like the CPS. I wasn't doing investigations. But like when the court was already involved, I, was kind of there to work with the families. I remember there was this one family I was working with, and the mom, she just liked meth. She was just, addicted to meth. And when you're addicted to meth, I'm just going to make a generalization. You can't be that great of a parent. You're not going to be the kind of parent you need to be.
That becomes priority over everything.
Because meth is a priority. So anyway, she had a daughter who was a preteen. She was probably like 10 or 11. I think they were living with like the great grandma. Okay. And so this great grandma, she's like 80 something years old. Like she is not able to be the primary caretaker of this girl. And I remember this lady like laying into me. I was literally 22, and I was telling her that, her great granddaughter was going to be going into foster care because her mother, she was continuing to use meth. She was missing drug tests, or the drug tests were positive. Anyway, she was like, you are young, you're incompetent. You are like, she just like,
Did you cry?
I did not.
I would cry.
I was just like, I'm sorry. These are the laws. And once the court is involved, like, we are both bound by this. And I'm sorry. I know it's terrible, traumatic, all the things. But when I came home, and I think when I like talked to my supervisor about it later, I was like, yeah, I am young and I'm incompetent, but I'm not on meth. So there's that.
So you're winning. You're winning at life.
I'm going to get life. But no, and then like 6 months later, do you remember they sent me to Las Vegas to pick up these kids?
Yes. To
You
retrieve the
guys.
kids that the mom had absconded with.
Absconded with. So yes, that is another story for another day
Yeah.
because that one is a doozy. But yeah, another time where I was like, yeah, I am young and incompetent. Like, yes, I remember feeling that. But I truly, the older I get, I remember when I turned 27 that I was like, okay, I'm a real adult now. Like,
Yes.
people take me a little bit seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not a complete,
Dude,
like,
27, 27,
that is
28.
that is
You
the
are,
age.
you are legit enough to be an adult, but you're not too old and you're not too young. Like, I feel like that's the
Yes.
sweet spot.
20, yeah, 27, 28, totally, totally
The
good.
wrinkles haven't set in yet, but you're over, the hormonal acne, probably.
And you know some things, you have a little bit of life experience. You're not a complete idiot. But like as I get older, and tell me if you experience this, I am feeling a newfound confidence that I don't have to be a people pleaser in the way, like I wouldn't say I'm a full on people pleaser.
You've never been a full-on people pleaser.
No. But I also have felt the need to please in certain ways. Like if somebody comes for door-to-door sales, I'd always feel like I need to hear them out and feel like, oh, I need to listen. And like, oh, like I felt some pressure to like buy whatever they're selling.
Right.
Or, even yesterday. So I joined a new gym yesterday and they were trying to, I did finally, gosh, they were trying to sell me on personal training. And I loved being able to say like, absolutely not. I'm not interested. And they're like, oh, well, you get to do this. And I'm like, no, I don't need it. I don't need the spiel. I don't need the free anything. Like, I do not need to please you. I can tell you, like, absolutely not. That's like
Wow.
a freedom that I'm feeling. I know. I'm just so proud.
I'm still struggling with the people pleasing. I am a people pleaser with a rebel streak. I always have
Yes,
been.
you are.
So
Which I feel like is an interesting combination.
interesting combination because I'm like I don't care what you think. Wait, yes I do. Please love me. It's a battle inside me. Like be myself, do what I want, but also the approval of others.
Yes, like I do what I want. Please approve.
Totally. But I'm getting better at that.
Yeah, like being assertive, especially when it's somebody that like is younger than you, not that you're like mistreating younger people, but like, if there's a 20-year-old trying to sell me personal training sessions.
Oh, one thing, I feel like I don't necessarily need to wear makeup when I leave the house. That's a thing in my later years.
I can leave the house looking like death. like honestly, even today.
Okay, but I remember you judging, being like, I will never be one of those people that goes to the store in pajama pants with my hair in a messy bun and no makeup.
I still stand by the pajama pants. I don't leave the house in pajama pants. However, I am willing to go out of the house looking hideous. Like today, I even took the kids to the movie. No makeup. I had like, showered and everything, but like not a lick of makeup on. And you see yourself in the mirror and it's like a jump scare a little bit. But there's also something freeing in being like, you know what? I'm not trying to impress anybody right now. Like people of the movie theater, like here you go. Nobody's going to try to flirt with me and nobody's definitely going to try to traffic me. Kind of conversely, we're feeling more confident, feeling like, okay, we can be without makeup. But like, then we've got what the media is telling us.
Yeah.
They're telling us something very, very opposite. So like, we get two different messages of like, embrace aging, acceptance,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. But then like the
Body
movies and the shows
positivity.
body positivity. But like, everything is so youth focused. Even like the storylines that we're giving, it's like, oh, all like the young ingenue who is trying to figure out her life and figure out love. And it's like, yes, I get that it's relatable and we can all like look back and feel those things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so youth focused where it's like, that is the most interesting part of your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
even
that's not the
people
most interesting part.
who are in these rom-coms where this older woman ends up catching the attention of a younger man and
Like the Anne Hathaway one. Did you watch that one?
Yes. She
Yes.
does not look 40.
No. She definitely doesn't look 40 now.
No,
You
but
just-
I mean, in
She's
that
got her
like,
facelift. She looks
Oh.
snatched.
yeah, in this movie, it's like she could have passed for 25.
Oh, yeah. Super young, super hip.
Like they need to have somebody who's got some saggy boobs, who's got a little bit of like neck softness,
Some crepey.
crepey neck, and some crow's feet. Maybe no
Yes.
Botox, like the scary old witch that lives in the woods. buys Love.
The scary old witch. Yes. Oh my. No, you know what it is? Okay, you saw The Substance, right? Did you see The Substance with Demi Moore?
Did you see this?
Oh my gosh. I did. That's so not a movie that I would normally see.
Not something that you would choose.
No, because first of all, I hate scary movies. I hate bloody movies. The whole last 10 minutes of that movie, I was like this because it's so bloody and just like, it's just so much. But like, I really did appreciate the conversations that came of like Demi Moore's character. She looks old. She's no longer useful. She's no longer attractive.
And she actually still looked really good.
Seriously.
Until
Seriously.
she made decisions that sucked the youth out of her.
Yes, like the scary finger. That was like the first thing that happened when her and the young Demi Moore, what is it, Elizabeth Sparkle, when Sue overstayed her time, and then Demi Moore, this is all spoiler alert, whatevs. I guess we have to give that because it came out last year, but her finger turned super old. You know, even though that movie was honestly horrifying in a lot of ways.
Truly.
It brought up some good conversation of like, hey, just because you're not like the hot young thing.
Well, also, are we sacrificing our future health to look young? We don't know. We don't know yet. Like, what are the long-term effects of Botox? I don't know.
But I've still been doing I do Botox right here. Twice a year I get it in between my eyebrows because I have this big crease.
Well, you've had that crease since you were a child.
So I feel like the media, it's telling us and it's tricked us to some degree that like the expectations is that we need to be like frozen at 25 and, you know, have this like unattainable hotness, like where Kylie Jenner, Sydney Sweeney, or Sabrina Carpenter, whoever like the hot girl of the moment is, like that's the goal. That's what the media is telling us, but then it's also spitting like this, like, oh, acceptance.
Embrace your age.
Embrace your age. Crow's feet are beautiful. And I'm just like, ugh.
Well, especially then add in being divorced at 40. What's my market? Like, I don't know. I've got 25-year-old guys hitting on me. I've got 60-year-old guys hitting on me. The guys my age have not been great to choose from, except for the one that I've found.
Yeah, it's kind of a unicorn, and I definitely want to hear about like dating at this age, because I remember when you first got on the apps and there was the guy in his like tagline, it was like keep within your race or something appalling. And I was like, where did this troll, like what bridge did he grow up under? Like, who are these people? I know why you're single, because you're awful.
It's what's out there.
And then there's the unicorn that's like briefly there and then gets snapped up. Do you know the comedian Leanne Morgan? Do you know her?
Yes, she's great.
Okay, she's so funny. Her favorite thing, I might put this video on, but like, have you seen the one where she's like, you know, when you're in high school and your hormones are raging, and you tell somebody like, suck my neck, give it a bruise. You know that one?
Do y'all remember being in high school and just hormones running through you and you're like, I want to make out in the car? I remember. I wish I felt that way now. I wish I felt that way now. I could get a new purse out of that. If I said to my husband, Chuck, suck my neck. Suck my neck, Chuck. As hard as you can. Until you put a bruise on me. If I said that to him, I think he would have a heart attack. But he'd do it. He'd do it.
If I said that to Ben, he would just be like, he'd be like, kids, get out of the house.
Oh my gosh. Taken over by an alien.
Seriously, he'd be like, who are you? She's from Knoxville, Tennessee.
She's got a thick Southern accent.
She has a thick Tennessee accent. I love the Tennessee accent. I truly do. You know, Jeff Foxworthy, he had like, you might be a redneck if. You know, you might be a redneck if you go to the family reunion to pick up chicks. I feel like she needs to have a bit where it's like, you might be having a midlife crisis if. I need to like pass this on to her.
I don't know.
She might. Somebody, if they don't, like somebody, please scoop up this idea. But like for us, it's like you might be having a midlife crisis if you decide to start a podcast and are hiking up cringe mountain. That's what I'm doing. Because guess what? Like with this podcast, I'm super excited. Like I feel like this is, like valuable conversations to have. And there's going to be all sorts of topics I want to cover.
Yeah.
But like the cringe mountain part is, okay, what is worse? Having nobody listen to this, or having like random high school trolls, or like your high school ex-boyfriend and be like, ooh.
You're the one who had the long-term high school boyfriends, and I had the very short-term high school boyfriends.
True. You were every 2 months. It was like out, in, out, in. Like there was a new one. No, so this kind of calls back to our conversation of like, you can now leave the house looking hideous.
Yeah.
So this is 10 years ago. So I think I just moved from Utah to Indiana. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was living back in my hometown, the town that you live in for now. I had just taken a shower. My hair was wet, no makeup. I was looking hideous. I go to the grocery store. I'm like going for a quick trip, getting something. Mm-hmm. So I'm in Kroger in the checkout line, and there's a man in front of me. Turns around. It is my boyfriend from high school that I had not seen since literal graduation day.
What are his initials?
LD.
Okay, I know who this is.
So he turns around, he sees me, and I was just like all the blood leaves my face. Like,
so you're looking even worse.
So seriously, I'm like you haven't seen me.
You just
honestly,
the breath that you just did was like
this is my neck too.
Dead.
Yes,
it was like dead corpse breath.
So he hasn't seen me in like 12 years. The first time he sees me, I'm looking like death warmed over. I was just like, oh my gosh.
I promise I'm more attractive than this usually.
I know. He's probably like, I dodged a bullet there. Like we would have never, ever ended up together. But yes. And then of course, guess what? The next time I saw him after that, I was like 9 months pregnant. Also not looking my best. Also, I was like, gosh, dang it. Like, can I please look cute when I see these ex-boyfriends? Not because I'm pining away from them for them.
Reunion.
I don't think he went to the high school reunion.
Oh.
I only went to my 10-year. Anyway, it was just like, what are the odds?
Not good.
So I have a question for you. We talked about like how we thought midlife was going to be, right? And like how, because we saw like mom and dad and the people around us who all seem to have it together. Yeah. But like now that we're there, do any of the people that we know personally like have it all together?
No.
If
they look like they do, they probably don't.
Exactly. Like there's something. Like nobody has, the perfect life, the perfect marriage, the perfect kids. Like everybody has something. No.
Hey.
There's people who are definitely a little struggling more than others, but I don't feel like there's anybody who is riding off into the sunset with their perfect life. They might have, a lot of things where it's their stability, but then it's like struggles elsewhere where I feel like their marriage might be great, but they might have tough stuff going on in their family.
I do think that you have had a great experience for the most part.
At this stage, yes, but we've had like some bumps.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying everything's been easy, but I'm like, you're doing pretty well.
I feel like, yes, but at the same time, like, say Ben's job evaporated, but I'm not fulfilled. Yes, first world problems. What am I supposed to do with my life? Let's start a podcast to talk about it.
Everybody's feeling some sort of way.
Yes. And so I feel like it's helpful to know that it's like, even though our parents may have made us feel like everything was perfect and fine and whatever, they still had their worries. They still had their struggles. They still had the things they were just like, oh, this is very much up in the air, or like you're like a duck where everything looks calm on the surface, but you're like paddling like crazy underneath.
Yeah. Kids throw wrenches in plans. You think, oh, everything's going to be great. We're doing great. And then a kid does something that you're like, I did not see this coming. It's like, okay, we got it. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. And then it's just like, oh no, another thing.
And you're like, no,
things keep happening.
Plot twist. So I have a question. Do you feel like you're too late for anything in your life? Like, because I know you're doing kind of like not a reinvention, but like you're doing a new path at this stage. Like, do you feel like, oh, I missed the boat on this?
No, not necessarily. I do feel like what is worth my time. Like, I don't want to waste my time doing something for the next 20 years where I have to struggle every day or every week or every paycheck. No, I'm making choices for things that are going to affect my next 20 years but I know that I don't want to just keep doing things the way that I've been doing them and just scraping by. Like, I was working 2 jobs and going to school as a single mom with 3 kids. I was miserable. And
You were burning the candle at both ends. It was
Yeah.
not a sustainable situation.
No. And I realized, like, when I was crying before work for my second job, I realized the $15 an hour that I'm getting working retail doesn't compensate for the time that I'm missing doing these other things, whether it's being at home or studying or
It's like, okay, where is my time best spent?
right.
And it's not doing this thing.
right.
When I was thinking of, am I too late for X, Y, and Z? It's like, I'm not going to decide I'm going to be a surgeon because it's like, okay, that it's going
Right.
to take
That's
15
not gonna,
years.
right.
And for
and
what?
If I have 20 more years of working, that's
It's
not
like,
gonna
it's
make
not
sense.
worth it. No, it's like, I'm never going to be an Olympian. I'm okay with that. I'm never going to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I'm okay with that. I am too late for that. The time has come and gone.
Right.
I can feel peace about that. But I feel like there's so many things we're not too late for.
I mean,
You
I'm
know,
not
we're
too
not
late
over
for
the
going
hill.
back to school, like get a degree in something completely different. I still play roller derby. I still fight women on skates, basically.
You've asked me to join roller derby before, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, if somebody's coming at me, I'm running away. You are a fight, and I am a flight freeze, whatever.
I mean, nobody. Well, yeah, I'm a runaway, but through them, not
Yeah.
the other way.
So just to wrap up a little bit, like this podcast, I want this podcast to feel like we are having the conversations that people, women our age, want to have. The people who are in our stage of life who are like, you know, they're raising their kids and you're thinking, what's next? It's,
Yeah.
you know, the other people who have this spinning wheel, you know, in their head of like, what am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to do with my life? Or like, I have so many friends who, yeah, they did the career path of like, okay, they graduated from school and they did this linear career thing, but they're at this stage, they're like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I want to pivot to something different. And so it's not like the midlife crisis, but it's the midlife pivot that we're at. And so I'm just hoping that like through these conversations with you, I have all sorts of other women that I'm going to be chatting with, a
vibe
format
is
of there's
gonna
going to be,
Change. Yeah, it's gonna
It's
have a
gonna
different
change, like
flavor each time.
so it's like a lot of things I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to talk to friends of mine. I'm going to talk to people who have had all different types of paths. I'm so excited for what I have lined up. You're going to hear from women who've been the glue in their family and they're thinking, you know, like what's next? We're going to talk to people who have had like big life upheavals, whether it's divorce, layoffs, identity shifts, like any of these things. That's what I'm really excited to talk about. We're going to talk to women who have built businesses among raising their families, just all sorts of things. And guess what? Like at this stage of life, even though the paths have been different, there's the same emotion of, okay, what's next at this stage? So I'm just really, really excited.
Yay.
Just to talk to all these people.
And I love that you're following this passion of yours, that you were right there, like what's next? And you are doing it. You're doing the thing.
I'm doing the thing. I am so grateful for anyone who is still listening. If you're not our mom, actually, even if you are our mom, please, I'm wanting to know what you guys think. I would love it if you could leave a review. If you could leave a review on Apple or Spotify, that would be amazing. Unless it's like a 1-star review, then you can just keep that to yourself. That's fine. I don't need that. Give us nice reviews.
Yeah.
Share this with your
Constructive
friends.
criticism.
Yes.
Compliment
like
sandwich.
Sandwiches. Compliment
Yes.
sandwich. Be like, I love the
thing.
podcast. You're wonderful. You're funny.
Yes.
You could work on not
Here's what
saying.
you do.
Yeah. Stop saying Stop interrupting your sister.
But I really enjoyed this.
But the best hour of my life. Yes. That's the kind of
That's
the
high
feedback
praise.
I'm interested in.
best hour of my life.
Best hour of my life. So yes, please, if you could like, follow, whatever you do, whatever the kids say on the YouTube, on the TikTok.
Like, follow, and subscribe.
Like, follow, and subscribe. See, I don't even know these things.
Maybe, I don't know, I just made
tell
that
your
up. It just sounded
friends.
good.
Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell
I was telling one of my
anybody.
clients today. She's excited to listen to it.
Yes. Okay. So that is what I would love from you guys. And yes, if there's something that you want to talk about, if there's like a topic that you want
To hear about
me to hit on this,
Yeah.
please, I'll leave the link for Instagram. It is found at 40 podcast, found at 40, like the 40 podcast. That's on Instagram. I'm still debating if I want to put anything on TikTok because I just
Let's
feel
shout out some of
too-
our sponsors. Just kidding. We don't have any.
no sponsors. Well, I am grateful to have you here. Thank you for spending this hour with me. And yes, I'll be back next week. Sometimes Sarah will be with me. Sometimes it'll be another friend. I've got a friend who she built a business from scratch and it's become this amazing thing and it was never part of her plan. I have a friend who's like followed her dreams, you know, major midlife pivots. Like I've got a bunch of really, really cool chats lined up. And so I'm so excited for anyone to listen. But again, share this with all your friends. Tell everybody you've ever met about Found at 40 podcast. So, all right.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye.